are here today with, well, my name is Rochelle Kosh, and this is Peter, my husband, and we're here with Rosie and Ward Burroughs from Turlock, California, or Belico, California. And we have a hemp farm. We're called Whole Circle Farms, and we have been here for 8 years, and we have a passion on just trying to give back to the environment. And part of that is we want to work on becoming more regenerative. So we have 2 experts here that are going to share with us some of their knowledge. You want to talk a little bit more about how we met Rosie and Ward?
We met Rosie and Ward at a Farm Bureau function, I believe, about how we could preserve farmland in the Central Valley of California and protect it from the development on the prime ag land. And we quickly realized that we had many ideas and concepts about how we should try to preserve agriculture in the region which is the highest producing in the world, which is the Central Valley of California. So we moved up to Silverton, Oregon 8 years ago, and in the process, Rosie and Ward have now gone into regenerative agriculture, not just organic, but now it's regenerative agriculture. So we're very pleased to have them here with us today and get to learn more what they have to offer.
Yeah. So I guess our first question is, what is regenerative ag and how come you guys are involved in it?
Well, let's first tell you a little bit about ourselves. As Peter said, we're located in the northern Merced County in the central San Joaquin Valley of California. And Ward, I'd love for you to start with our family history.
Sure. So I was born and raised in the East Bay area. My grandfather went out there from the Bay Area in 1906. And my family had dairy, and in the early 70s we went down to northern Merced County there. And we started planting almonds in 1988. Today our children are involved in our operation. We have we started transitioning to organic in the early 2000s, so it's been about 20 years since we've been farming organic, and we have a number of different products, from dairy to almonds and beef and cheese and chickens and so forth, all the way to olive oil. And organics is our passion, and our business, Regenerative Ag, is quickly, claiming that same fame in our family.
So we're blessed to have a rich family heritage that spans over 120 years. And the greatest legacy that we are the most proud of is that we've been able to pass down the farm to our next generation in better condition than we inherited it. So having our children carry on our family farm legacy is just pure joy.
So regenerative agriculture is about regenerating our farms, and of course that when you go there, you have to say, well, why does it have to be regenerated, which indicates that it's been degraded. Of course, ag soils are in that situation, and we so what we're trying to do is make it better, regenerate our soils, and soils are the key to all of life. That's what we believe, and that's the starting point for regenerative ag.
So what I like to say, as Ward just said, is that all life starts in the soil. So we need to talk about the difference between soil and dirt. And in 1 teaspoon of healthy soil, there are more microbes than people on the planet. When you're putting on toxins or synthetic fertilizers or chemicals that destroy the microbiology, that is messing up Mother Nature. So we want to work in harmony with Mother Nature. God created a perfect planet, and when everything is working together, I love Deborah Coons-Garcia video on Symphony of the Soil. It's about everything in harmony working together. And that's what regenerative ag is for me. It's about encouraging the health of the microbes.
Ward and Rosie, can you tell us what your practices are in regards to regenerative agriculture?
I think the first thing that is important to talk about is that Regenerative agriculture is about the practices you're using, again, about soil biology, soil health. And there isn't a cookie cutter for all farms throughout the whole world. Everybody has to create what's best for their farm in their location and in what crops they're growing. But for us, we would like to talk about the 6 basic practices that are utilizing regenerative ag practices, which is really building your soil biology.
So for us, it starts with certified organic land. Okay, everything is under certified organic management. But in the orchards, what we're trying to do is cover our ground, keep our ground covered as much as possible all the time. That means that we try to use cover crops, okay, and we're trying to use diversified plants in our cover crops.
If I could say something about the diversity, the importance of diversity is that you have microbes that are at different depths, and your soil is working as a banking system. So what might be down 15 feet can be utilized with the microbes, bring it up to something up on the surface. So it's very important to understand that the soil biology is working as a symphony, and all the microbes in there, we haven't even begun to understand what's happening underneath the soil. But for us in regards to farming, we want to have plants that have different soil depths. So we may have some shallow ones that may be only a few inches deep, and then I'll just go straight to the ones that are 15 feet deep. And then the microbes talk to each other, and they create this banking system so that they can exchange, whether they need a certain mineral or whatever the plant is that you're growing. Those microbes know how to create the most nutritious, nutrient-dense food through their system of exchange. That's why cover crops need to be at different depths to feed that.
Different root depths. Yeah, Rosie's talking about different root depths. So there are people that are finding that cover crops that have 15 to 20 different seeds in them are really, really important. And instead of just planting 1 or 2 or 3, which is kind of what's been the norm over many, many years. Cover crops are not new. They've been around for a long time. It's just that the soil health is now
key.
The key to producing nutrient-dense food. It's the key to putting carbon back in our soils, which is where it's supposed to be. But anyway, so we're talking about keeping the ground covered and trying to use diverse cover crops, if at all possible, and we're trying not to till ground. So we're using minimal till or no till, okay? And that's also something that's coming around. In our almond orchards, most almond farms now are managed no-till, where most of them are all mowed, okay? That's a really good thing. Using manures or compost is another one of the practices to trying to get away of all the synthetics and don't apply any synthetics on fertilizers or poisons at all, because they're damaging all your soil biology. So those are some of the things. The last one that's is probably the hardest for most people to get around mentally is to incorporate animal grazing on your acreage if you can, wherever you can. And we understand that's very difficult for some. For us, we've been using chickens especially in the wintertime in our orchards. So did the Koches when they were down in California. But the thing that we've really grasped a hold of lately or the last couple of years is using sheep to graze in our orchards between as soon as we can in November, December, and then we get off of them in about the 1st of May. In that range, we need to be off of them 120 days before harvest for the safety reasons, for the health safety reasons.
So my family comes from New Mexico, and having the sheep part of our family today brings back the roots of my family heritage. My grandfather was a sheep herder, Spanish Basque, and in New Mexico, I just remember hearing all the stories of how he went out and was herding the sheep out in the wild wilderness, so to speak, where he may not see anybody for a month at a time. Today, we don't have to be isolated. So our kids are having lots of fun. Our grandkids are doing a great job of working with their mom and dad during the lambing season. And there's nothing more beautiful than to see the children participating in our sheep grazing.
So it seems like there's been a lot of talk about regenerative ag and climate change. Do you think that regenerative ag is the answer to climate change?
For me and our family, the answer is absolutely yes. Regenerative agriculture is the key and the most economical way of having an effect. And I believe it not only will stop, I think it'll reverse climate change. It's interesting because whether you get into the politics of global warming or climate change, the point is that we want healthy food and we want an environment that'll be here for future generations. And regenerative agricultural practices will do just that.
Climate change is for many, for us it's a fact. Okay, there are many that doubt it and refuse to go there. We've decided to take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and so we helped to start the Center for Regenerative Agriculture and Resilient Systems at Chico State University about 6 or 8 years ago. That was important to us, and they are doing tremendous work to support farmers like us that are trying to do regenerative agriculture. And there's lots of them. It's very interesting. There's more and more people. We hosted a workshop last February, and it was the first annual Regenerative Almond workshop. But this idea that we can just keep going farming the way we've been farming is not going to work. We have to get carbon back in the ground. And what conventional agriculture has done over the past 50 or 60 years is do everything they can to not do that, okay? And so if you're going to use all of the synthetics, that just reverses that whole idea that carbon is going to be in there. And of course, there's so much carbon in our oceans too. Having in the oceans is a terrible detriment to life on this planet as we know it. So, all of these things tie climate change back to regenerative agriculture. It's not regen is not going to fix it entirely, but there's a tremendous amount that it can do, and we have to start farmer by farmer. We have to change some minds. We have to change some paradigms, and what I talked about doing on our farm is all we've proven that it's all doable. Okay, starts with being organic. And then it starts with these other practices that everyone can do if they really, really want it.
So one of the things that our farm family has participated in is research. And we've been working with the Diocese Foundation. And it's very exciting as the preliminary research has been coming out over the last 3 years. We're finding that these practices will prove to other farmers that they can save money and they can improve the quality of their food that they're growing, and at the same time increase that soil health on their farms.
Soil health is related back to organic matter and carbon back in the ground, and so that's what we're trying to do. The study that they did was the first time that we had a definite matrix that we could look at and say that what we were doing over the last 20 years was making a difference. We thought it was, but we really didn't know. Okay, we did an awful lot by faith, you guys. But I have a wife and a daughter that are just not going to ever stop, and so that we did it, and we were able to stay financially viable, and people have now joined us trying to do some of the same things. And I mean, everything has to be financially sustainable, otherwise you can't do it, and we realize that. What's going on now is that other people are coming on the organic side of things, and so the organic supply of almonds is much greater than it was, and so we're having to deal with all that. Everybody will. What I wanted to say is that what that research showed us was that our soils, organic matters was up significantly from when we started over about a 10-year period, and that the infiltration rates, when you do the infiltration rate studies on our soil compared to conventional farms that are right next to us, so the same texture, the same varieties of almonds, that was what the study was set up for, and our soils took water 60% faster than the conventional soils did.
Which means then we have a
6 times
capacity.
Faster. I said 60. 6 times faster is what the number is. Okay, but in our case, our the water went down in 10 minutes versus 60 minutes versus the conventional side.
So whenever it's raining, that means that we can capture all of the rainwater, and that rainwater then we have a holding capacity to not only capture that rainwater but then to store it.
For every percent of organic matter rise that we see, means that you're storing about another 20 or 25,000 gallons of water per acre. Okay, that's really is significant, because what we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years also is that we don't start irrigating in the spring for about a month after the conventional guys do. Okay, that's a reflection on how much more water we're getting in the ground when it rains. Okay, every drop of water that falls on your place needs to stay there. Okay, not run off. Okay, you can't say that about Oregon, but you need to say it about California where we are. Okay, a couple other matrices that they checked were the amount of invertebrates in the top inch of ground. And you had the same relationship. You had about 6 times higher in the regenerative farms than the conventional farms. Okay. The third significant point was and we've kind of known this for many years. Mother Nature is designed to keep everything in balance. Okay. When you start using synthetics, you destroy that balance. Okay. And so the the pests get way out of whack. Okay. And so what we've seen is, since we've been managing organically, is that everything is in much more balance, and we can keep that and do it without having to kill anything. We add
or disrupt.
We add predator mites, for instance, if the mite situation is bad. For navel orangewort, we use biological controls to help us keep that balance in order, but there was the first year of the study, the navel orangeworms were just really out of whack, and not on our place. Our place, we didn't spray. There were people that sprayed 3 or 4 times on the conventional side. In fact, the comparative on our orchard did, and we had the same amount of insect damage in the almonds. Okay. And the insect damage lowers the value of the almonds, so you don't want that. You don't want insect damage. And the fellow just couldn't believe, the conventional farmer couldn't believe that that's the way it was. He said, I sprayed 3 or 4 times. He'd spent $150, $200 spraying. And he just, but that's what happens when you manage and try to mimic Mother Nature instead of trying to fight with her, which is what you do when you're putting on synthetics.
So I'd like to add that we're on a journey, and we will be on a journey all of our lives, and I hope that every farmer has an open heart to think about that this is a journey, and we're learning. We're all holding hands together, learning along this journey of farming. So it's not to say that we have the answers all today. We're pioneers in that we're trying new things, and right now we're very excited to share that these results are very encouraging, and we can share those with other families and farms and those that are interested in regenerative practices.
So how does it feel to be the first almond orchard, almond farm, to be certified not only organic but regenerative agriculture?
In the world.
In the world.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you for the question. Ward and I are very proud of our daughter Benina, who is the manager, partner, owner with us on our almond production, and it feels really special to honor our daughter for this achievement because she's worked really hard. And it's not about just the certificate, it's what goes behind the certificate, about having the courage to try new things, about having the determination, I'll get choked up here, about not stopping when you have a mistake. Mistakes are not mistakes to cause a person to stop. They're a learning experience. So you take that experience and then you keep having the perseverance to continue on. So with courage and perseverance and determination, we are very proud to say that our daughter, with our farm staff and family, we're excited to share our story with everyone.
Our next question is, can large-scale farming corporations be regenerative?
I'd like to answer that by saying we need to be careful about the words we're using, and just because a farm is owned by a corporation doesn't mean it's bad. What we need to look at is that it doesn't matter what size, small-scale family farms, medium, large family farms, or corporations. It's about what their goals are, and they have to change it really is a change in your paradigm. For so many years, through the Extension Service and the universities, it was all about how much profit can you make with no regard for the environment or the health or anything else for that matter. It was high profit, high inputs, money in the bank. And now what we need to look at is a holistic approach. And so I believe that if you have the goals and objectives about increasing your soil health, about doing what's good for the environment and for the consumers that are eating your product, it can be done at any scale as long as it's matched to the farm that you're entrusted to supervise.
So what is the most important recommendation for people to adopt into their lives to benefit the planet?
That's a really good question. And in one global answer for all people wherever you live is that you have to know where your food comes from if you can. It's important to have a community that supports the community agriculture and where you live. But more importantly, it's about using your food dollar as you purchase products that you are supporting farmers that are using regenerative practices. And there's lots of PR that's coming out about regenerative ag or whatever it may be, but knowing how you're spending your money. For instance, if you have a choice between buying a donut or buying an apple, okay, those decisions that you're making for your children and for yourselves, they're not only just important for the farmers that are growing your food, but also for you and your life and your health. Because every dollar you spend for good, nutritious, nutrient-dense food is good for the environment. Because when you not only help the farmer that's growing your food, you're helping the whole environment. So from the microbes in the soil to the birds in the sky, you're creating an environment that's life for all of the planet.
Do you have any last words you'd like to share?
I think it's really important that people look at this world as a whole, okay, and try to. Some people have to change their priorities, okay. For us, it is all about priorities, and really what's important. It doesn't mean being regenerative has to be financially sustainable for farmers. They can't do it if it's not. And so we think, and some of this data from the research shows us that, okay, that it's regenerative can be as profitable or more profitable in the long run. But that's why farmers are gonna adopt these things, okay. Many don't care about anything else but that money. But anyway, that's what we've taken away from this is that it's you can improve the world and still be financially sustainable, okay? And that's what's really, really important for all of us.
So our family motto has been, make decisions based on, does it make the world a better place?
That's great. Did you have any last words
I do
you'd like
not.
to say? Well, so we called our farm Whole Circle Farms because we just believed everything was connected. And we have been inspired from the Burroughs many years, but now even more so with the steps that they're taking on their farming journey. And it is an honor to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter and Rochelle. We always love our time together. Our families have been blessed.
Yeah.
We love you.